we go.
And the only one who can save this city.
Courage now. Truth always. Batman forever.
It all comes together.
We're going to need a bigger cave.
Batman and Robin.
Where are you?
And that's just a sample of the exciting exploits ahead in our first feature motion picture.
Holy memoranda, folks. Make a note not to miss it.
Good thinking, Robin.
I'm Batman. You want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts.
Okay, out of the way, soups. We're talking Batman today. So today we are going to look at Batman in live action movies. So, his first one was in 1966, directed by Leslie H. Martinson, starring Adam West, Burt Ward, Lee Meriwether, and Cesar Romero. It's a U certificate and run for 105 minutes. The story goes, the dynamic duo faces 4 supervillains who plan to hold the world for ransom with the help of a secret invention that instantly dehydrates people. So yeah, this is one I grew up with, and it was the only Batman for 33 years until Batman 1989 was released, which was directed by Tim Burton and stars Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Kim Basinger, and Robert Wuhl. It was a 12 certificate on release in the theatres, 15 on VHS, and some DVDs, and then down to 12 in more recent times. The Dark Knight of Gotham City begins his war on crime with his first major enemy being Jack Napier, a criminal who becomes the clownish, homicidal Joker. 126 minutes. Then in 1992 we got Batman Returns, again directed by Tim Burton, starring Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Christopher Walken. This one was a 12 in the cinemas and 15 on VHS release again. It's the same length, 126 minutes. While Batman deals with a deformed man calling himself the Penguin, wreaking havoc across Gotham with the help of a cruel businessman, a female employee of the latter becomes Catwoman with her own vendetta. Then in 1995 we get Batman Forever, directed by Joel Schumacher, and starring Val Kilmer as Batman this time, Tommy Lee Jones, Jim Carrey, and Nicole Kidman. So this one's a PG and slightly shorter, 125 minutes. Batman must battle former District Attorney Harvey Dent, who is now Two-Face, and Edward Nygma, the Riddler, with the help of an amorous psychologist and a young circus acrobat who becomes his sidekick, Robin. This was followed up in 1997 with Batman and Robin, directed again by Joel Schumacher, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, George Clooney now as Batman, Chris O'Donnell, and Uma Thurman. So this one's 125 minutes and a PG, and that hasn't changed. Batman and Robin trying to keep their relationship together even as they must stop Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy from freezing Gotham City.
Hey, it's me, AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer from the Movie Cheer podcast, and I am going to rank my top 5 Batman movies. I'm not going to go with the solo movies. I'm going to stay away from like the Justice League movies. But I will say, before I kind of deep dive into the top 5, that I think Ben Affleck is the best. I really do think he's the best incarnation of Bruce Wayne. I think he is just... It's such a shame that he didn't get a solo movie, because I feel like he was... I remember when he got casted in that role, and there was loads of stuff online like saying that he was such a wrong choice. And I always thought, like, you know what, I think he's he looks the part, he looks the way in my brain Bruce Wayne would have looked like. And, you know, he got so jacked up for that movie, and he was like the biggest version of Batman we've ever seen. It was kind of like a Batman / Hulk. It was like, he was giant, he was, you know, the guy was huge, he like massed a load of muscle, and his suit looked amazing. And I really just think he didn't get the right movie. Well, you know what, I'd take that back. He did get the right movies. I enjoyed Batman vs Superman, the extended cut one. I thought that was a really good movie. I think the extended cut really worked well. And Justice League, the Snyder cut, was great. I think it was just like I said, I would have really loved to have seen him get a solo movie. It's a shame, but it didn't happen. But I do want to say he's kind of like an honorary mention, because I think he's such a great Bruce Wayne and Batman as well. But I'm going to rank my 5 favourite Batman movies here. Let's go for it. So I'm going to go with number 5, and these are ever changing, these choices. Don't shoot me down. These are just the choices at this moment in time. So we're going to start off with number 5, and it is Batman Returns. I chose this over the original Batman, the 89 Batman, because I think I remember watching this a lot more growing up, and I think it's something I always remember Catwoman and Penguin, watching this movie a lot more, and I just got like affinity to this movie. I think it's a really decent movie. I think Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman is great. Danny DeVito is superb as the Penguin, and Keaton is, he's great as Batman. And even though it feels like he doesn't feature as much as in the first movie as Batman in this one, it's still a good Batman movie. I like it. Look, it's nothing in comparison to the newer Batman movies. They're a bit cheesy, but I like them for what they are. The comic booky, the cheesy, but they're still great to watch. And yeah, Batman Returns is my 5th choice here. Let's go for number 4 now. And as I said, this is ever changing, but I'm gonna say it. Let's release the Schumacher cut. Batman Forever. Val Kilmer, Tommy Lee Jones, Jim Carrey. Val Kilmer playing Bruce Wayne and Batman in this movie. Val Kilmer is an actor who I remember watching this as a kid, never really understood who Val Kilmer was, and I never really got it as a kid that they changed the role, because I remember watching as well, when watching the Keaton ones and the George Clooney one and this one came before the George Clooney Batman Robin one, and I have a lot of time for these movies. I have a lot of nostalgia for watching them growing up. But I always thought it was weird, I said, oh, there's someone else playing this role of Batman. It kind of never grasped that as a kid growing up. And then, nowadays you see different people playing different characters all the time. But Val Kilmer is an actor I didn't really watch a lot of his stuff growing up. But then in adulthood, I've watched lots more Val Kilmer performances, and I really do appreciate him as an actor. I think he's great. And Batman Forever is a cheesy movie. Sure, I would love to see a darker extended cut, the unreleased cut, which I'm hoping will get a release at some point. But this is still a fun movie, and it's got it's the best case cover of all time. Look at this case cover. This is pure art. I absolutely love this. But yeah, Batman Forever is at number 4. Really good movie. And Jim Carrey's the Riddler. Can't beat that, can you? At number 3 now, I'm going to go with a choice that maybe some people don't really maybe think it's a wrong choice, but I'm going to go number 3 as the Batman. I don't have it on physical here, but the recent Robert Pattinson Batman. I enjoy that movie, but I don't think it was a number 2 or a number 1 choice for me. I think it was number 3. Maybe it's a movie over time that I'll enjoy a lot more, but I think coming off the Christopher Nolan movies, I enjoyed them so much, and again, I really enjoyed Ben Affleck's performances. It just didn't click with me straight away, that movie, and I've watched it since again, and I've enjoyed it a bit more, and I think over a few more watches of the Batman, I'll enjoy it even more so. But that is at number 3 for me. At number 2, I'm going to go with Batman Begins, the first in the Christopher Nolan trilogy, starring Christian Bale as Batman. I think it's a great origin story of this character, an underrated movie because it's always overlooked by The Dark Knight, this film, but I think it's such a good film, this one. Really builds up that story, builds up the character. And this really, for me, is the Batman movie in that trilogy as well. As you know, the second one is more of a Joker movie. It's more about the villain in that movie. But this one is the Batman, and I think it's, you know, it's the second best movie in that trilogy for me. And I think it's a solid film all around, really, you know, gives us a new take on Batman, a realistic take on this guy, this vigilante, and I think it's such a solid movie. Number 2, Batman Begins, and number 1, it had to be The Dark Knight. Perfect film, you know, Heath Ledger's Joker, iconic, and him opposite Christian Bale's Batman. I remember watching in the cinema for the first time. I remember that feeling of coming out of the cinema and just being like blown away. And it's the only real, you know, I have only certain memories of going to the cinema over the years where they were really just stuck in the memory. And that was one where I come out and I can remember coming out of that cinema and just how I felt about that movie. I thought it was incredible. I think it's the best Batman movie of all time, one of my favourite films of all time, The Dark Knight. Absolutely a stunning, stunning film. But they are my top 5, ladies and gents, for the Batman movies, celebrating Batman overall. Big fan of the character, and I just want to see more and more Batman movies in the years to come. So they are my choices, and yeah, back to you.
What's happening, Tapeoids? It's Rob's Vintage Video, and we're here making a video for our good buddy Gareth at Video Tasties, who has declared March as Bat March, and has asked me to participate in his collaboration video, the one you're watching right now, by ranking either the Batman movies or the Batman characters. I've chosen to rank the Batman characters. There's 7 of them, and I'm going to be counting down from 7 to 1. So let's get started with number 7. This is the only Batman that I really don't like, and that's Val Kilmer in Batman Forever. I like Val Kilmer as an actor, but in this movie he was stiff as a board. He was like a mannequin just spitting out lines with no personality, and I hated it. So Val Kilmer is number 7. Number 6 is George Clooney in Batman and Robin. I like George Clooney as an actor, just not as a Batman, but he did a better job than Val Kilmer, so he's at number 6. Number 5 is the OG Batman, Adam West. I had to put him before George Clooney and Val Kilmer, so he's at number 5. Number 4 is Christian Bale, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises. He was a great Batman. I had no problem with him, except for his voice was a little deep, and I found it was kind of comical, so he ended up at number 4. Number 3 is Michael Keaton's Batman, my Batman, the one I saw in the theater growing up and I loved. It would be number 1 if it wasn't for the 2 next Batman coming up. So that leads us to number 2, which is Ben Affleck's Batman in Justice League. I love this Batman, super gnarly looking. I like the older Batman storyline. So Ben Affleck gets number 2. And that leads us to number 1, the Batman, Robert Pattinson, who did an amazing job. I was skeptical when I heard that he was going to play Batman, but he did a great job. It didn't sparkle at all in this movie. His stare was super fierce, he was tough, and he pulled it off. And so number 1 goes to Robert Pattinson, and that's my list. Thank you, Gareth, for having us on, and if you dig VHS tapes, stop by Rob's Vintage Video, and I'll see you next time, Tapeoids.
Where does he get all those wonderful... Oh, hey, you caught me looking at these wonderful toys. And speaking of wonderful toys, let's talk Batman. So, let's talk Batman. Hey everybody, CJ at the Office of Pop Culture here. I'm sitting in my car in the time-honoured tradition of YouTube dorks that don't have any kind of studio set up. Why are we here? As I say, to talk Batman. 1939, Detective Comics, Bill Finger, Bob Kane, you know the drill. We're not here to talk about that, though. We're here because Gareth at Video Tasties has once again extended the bat hand of bat friendship and has asked us all to rank either our favourite Batman movies or our favourite live-action Batmans. Let's go with Batman. Now, full disclosure, there are a couple of Batman actors that I haven't seen, namely Ben Affleck and Robert Pattinson. It's not through choice, I just haven't got around to it. I've got stuff on, busy man. I'm not really, but I haven't seen those films. So, in order to keep the numbers nice and even, I'm going to put in 2 Batmen that weren't on that list that Gareth gave us, and sadly they're coming in last on today's countdown, so here they come. So coming in joint 6th place is Lewis Wilson and Robert Lowry, the 2 guys who played Batman in the 1940s serials, not the breakfast cereals. The movie serials, merchandising hadn't quite gotten to the point where it is today back then. There's nothing particularly wrong with these films if you're willing to overlook the odd moment that would get them cancelled in a heartbeat today. Both guys are solid, dependable B-movie actors who turned up on time, hit their marks, knew their lines and did what they had to do, probably felt as silly in the costumes as they look in the costumes. However, the problem is that they're really not Batman. Yeah, they look like Batman, they're called Batman, they are Batman, but it could quite easily be the Lone Ranger or Spy Smasher or the Shadow or the Phantom or any number of other B-movie serial villain heroes of the time. So there's nothing to really set them apart. There's no kind of backstory as to why they're doing what they're doing or how they became Batman or anything like that. And so because of that, we're putting them in dead last place. Sorry, guys. Alright, back again. I've changed again. I've had more costume changes this video than Batman. But in at number 4 is Christian Bale. Put the pitchforks down. The man's a fine actor. I just don't like his Batman. I don't like his take on the character. I don't like Christopher Nolan's take on the character. These feel like Batman films for people who don't really like Batman. They almost seem ashamed of the source material. It's like, he's got a car, but it's not the Batmobile. He's got a plane, but it's not the Batplane. There's a female villain whose gimmick is a cat, but she's not Catwoman. You know what I mean? It's just all about it takes the kind of fun and the comic book frivolity and makes it real world and serious. And honestly, I'm not watching a film about a millionaire ninja that dresses like a bat because I want to be super serious. I want to have fun with these films. And I don't feel like there's any fun to be had with these films, to be perfectly honest. And a lot of that is down to Christian Bale's performance. Plus that voice. That voice. What the hell is that voice? I can't deal with it. Next. Alright, we're in the kitchen for number 3. And coming in, number 3, Michael Keaton. Everybody's favourite Batman at the moment due to his appearance in the Flash trailer. Michael Keaton was really the first Batman that I can think of anyway, in live action that made a real effort to differentiate between Bruce Wayne and Batman. He lowered his voice to a whisper. He looked different, he held himself differently. My problem comes in not with his Batman, but with his Bruce Wayne, who is a twitchy weirdo. And really isn't a hugely appealing character, to me anyway. His Batman's fine, he's a little short, he looks about as threatening as a kitten, but the suit helps with that. But Michael Keaton really was the first modern Batman, the first guy that tried to make a difference between Batman and Bruce Wayne, and for that, if nothing else, he belongs at number 3 on our list. Still in the kitchen for number 2, and Biff Bam Pow at Adam West. I'm going to try and stand still because I watched that Michael Keaton one back and all the walking about was making me dizzy. Adam West was the perfect Batman for the 1966 show. A guy who really got that the way to be funny in a crazy show is to not be funny. He's deadly serious, he takes it all completely seriously and just lets this fucking madness play out around him, and it makes it 100 times funnier. It's easy to look back now and think it's silly and camp and ridiculous, but what people I think forget is that it's kind of supposed to be. And it represents what the comics were doing at the time. This was a time when Batman was going into space and turning into a unicorn and crazy shit like that. So it's actually less wild than what the comics of the late 50s and early 60s was doing. But in at number 2, Adam West. And if you've been paying attention, you'll know that in at number 1, first Bat place on our Bat countdown is the one and only Mr. Val Kilmer in Batman Forever. Again, put the pitchforks down. I love this movie. Might be the nostalgia talking, but to me it's the perfect Batman movie. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The villains are hilarious. Batman is played straight. Cross-reference what I just said about Adam West. And Val Kilmer plays him perfectly. Bruce Wayne is really cool. You really believe his Bruce Wayne to be this billionaire philanthropist good guy. You really believe his Batman is really physical. He looks great in the suit. Is the film perfect? No. Could the film be better? Yes. Could Val Kilmer's performance be better? I would argue no. I think he's the perfect on-screen Batman. Looks the part, sounds the part, can do all the shit that Batman needs to do, and does it really well. So there it is, my number 1 pick for the greatest live-action Batman, Val Kilmer. So there it is. My rundown of my favourite live-action Batman. Thanks to Gareth at Video Tasties for giving me the opportunity to do this. I'm sorry that the video was so choppy. I had to shoot it over the course of like 5 days because reasons. But anyway, this is CJ at the Office of Pop Culture signing out once again. Check us out on Instagram, Office of Pop Culture, direct from my Instagram feed to your eyeballs, daily doses of pop culture fineness. And we'll see you next time, citizens. Same bat time, same bat channel. Jesus, that was cringy. Have a good one.
Hi everyone, welcome to my ranking of the Batman actors, from least favourite to favourite. Now, this isn't a ranking of the films, it is for the actors, but I will explain why. Now, in last place is Val Kilmer. Yes, I don't particularly like Val Kilmer as an actor, I will say, other than in the movie Tombstone, in which I think he's fantastic. And I thought he was miscast as Batman, as Bruce Wayne, and the whole film itself was miscast. And funnily enough, it's my least favourite Batman movie. Then dropping down, probably a surprise to everyone, Robert Pattinson. Didn't work for me whatsoever. The film itself didn't work for me. I can pick this film apart like anything. It's not a fantastic movie. You take away all the fun of what Batman is. You take away all of the fantastical, and all you're left with is the ludicrousness. And Robert Pattinson himself as Bruce Wayne Batman, they're too similar. But this is a complaint moving down. Adam West, okay, he's a product of his time, from a Batman that is a product of its time. And even though I enjoy them, it's a different era. It's nowhere in the sort of... It's very difficult to even throw him into this list. But then I dropped down to George Clooney. Now, George Clooney does very much the same as what Adam West does, in that his Batman and his Bruce Wayne are exactly the same. Pretty much the same goes for Pattinson. His Batman and his Bruce Wayne are pretty much the same, except they're Batman, whereas these are Bruce Wayne more so. I like George Clooney as an actor. I think he's fantastic. I think he's got great, good comic timing, and I would love to see him come back as a darker take on the Batman. But this film here, I think it gets ridiculed because basically it tries to go back and do what Adam West done with his Batman TV show. It's a big budget version of that, and audiences didn't want that, unfortunately. Now, top 3 spots, you know, again, this is so difficult. This is such a difficult list to make, and it's not you know, and these could all sit in number 1 spot. They really could. So in 3rd spot, I'm going to put Christian Bale. His Bruce Wayne is fantastic. His Batman, a bit over the top with the voice, but a fantastic series of films. Then in 2nd spot, Michael Keaton. Fantastic. I love Michael Keaton as Batman. I think he's superb, and I'm so looking forward to his return in The Flash. And then obviously there's only one left, and my favourite Batman has got to go to Ben Affleck. Now, I think Ben Affleck is a fantastic actor, and playing a later in life grizzled Batman, based heavily upon the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns comic book. I think he's fantastic. I think he was unfortunate we never got a solo Batman film. We were left wanting more from him and see what he could do in his own movie. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in that top spot. His Bruce Wayne was fantastic, very believable, and so was his Batman. Yeah, and I look forward to seeing more of him in The Flash. So anyway, so that's it. That's my list there. So, Gareth, thank you for asking me to participate in this. And I'll pass over to whoever is next.
In at number 5, Batman Returns. Fantastic film, starring Michael Keaton as Batman, Danny DeVito as the Penguin, and the gorgeous Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. In at number 4, Batman. So this is the one that started all off. Michael Keaton in the lead role and Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Fantastic Batman film. In at number 3, The Dark Knight Rises. The 3rd instalment in the Dark Knight trilogy. Absolutely love this film. Really liked Anne Hathaway as the Catwoman. I thought she was really, really good. And it was great to see the sort of conclusion of the Dark Knight trilogy in this film. In at number 2, Batman Begins. So this was the first film in the Christopher Nolan trilogy. Fantastic origin story. Christian Bale in the lead role as Batman. And yeah, it was just a great film. In at number 1, no surprise, The Dark Knight. Probably a lot of people's favourite film. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. Heath Ledger in the role of the Joker, outstanding performance. Probably my favourite Joker of all time. And it was great to see Christian Bale coming back for the second film in this. This felt very much like Heat. Had a sort of feeling about that film. And yeah, I just absolutely love this film.
So after the great success of Batman and Robin, it took 8 years before Batman came back with Batman Begins, directed by Christopher Nolan, starring Christian Bale as Batman, Michael Caine, Ken Watanabe, and Liam Neeson. So it's a 12A, it's a 12 on physical media, and it's 140 minutes. After training with his mentor, Batman begins his fight to free crime-ridden Gotham City of corruption. After that was a great success, we get The Dark Knight in 2008. Directed again by Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale still as Batman, Heath Ledger as the Joker, Aaron Eckhart, and Michael Caine. This one a 12A again, but 12 on physical media, and this one's 152 minutes. When a menace known as the Joker wreaks havoc and chaos to the people of Gotham, Batman must accept one of the greatest psychological and physical tests of his ability to fight injustice. And then the final of the trilogy, The Dark Knight Rises, directed by Christopher Nolan again, Christian Bale as Batman, Tom Hardy, Anne Hathaway, and Gary Oldman. This one another 12A on release and 12 on physical media. This one's 164 minutes, and it's still not the longest Batman. So, 8 years after the Joker's reign of chaos, Batman is coerced out of his exile with the assistance of a mysterious Selina Kyle in order to defend Gotham City from a vicious guerrilla terrorist Bane. So 4 years later, 2016, we get Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition. If you saw this in the cinema, it was half an hour less than this. So this is directed by Zack Snyder, stars Ben Affleck as Batman, Henry Cavill, Amy Adams, and Jesse Eisenberg. It was 12A in cinemas and 12 on physical media. Fearing that the actions of Superman are left unchecked, Batman takes on the Man of Steel while the world wrestles with what kind of hero it really needs. Just putting it a bit simply. So the theatrical version on here is 151 minutes, and then the Ultimate Edition is 182 minutes. A year later, in 2017, we got Justice League, which is credited as directed by Zack Snyder, but was sort of ghost directed by Joss Whedon after Zack Snyder left the project. So this is Ben Affleck as Batman, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, and Ezra Miller, which was a 12A on release and is 2 hours long. Fueled by his restored faith in humanity and inspired by Superman's selfless act, Bruce Wayne enlists the help of his newfound ally Diana Prince to face a greater enemy. In 2021, we got Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is actually directed by Zack Snyder, stars Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck's Batman, Gal Gadot, and Amy Adams. So this one is a 15 certificate and is 242 minutes long. So that is the longest film with Batman in. Determined to ensure that Superman's ultimate sacrifice wasn't in vain, Bruce Wayne recruits a team of metahumans to protect the world from an approaching threat of catastrophic proportions. And the latest Batman release, 2022's The Batman, which is directed by Matt Reeves, stars Robert Pattinson as Batman, Zoe Kravitz, Jeffrey Wright, and Colin Farrell. This one was a 15 in the cinemas and on physical media. It's 176 minutes, so this is the longest solo Batman film. When a sadistic serial killer begins murdering key political figures in Gotham, Batman is forced to investigate the city's hidden corruption and question his family's involvement. 12 live-action films with Batman in, and still a few more to come.
Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to do a video for a fellow YouTuber's channel called Video Tasties. Now, he has asked everyone who wants to contribute to do a video on their top 5 live-action Batman films. You could pick or choose, a video you'd like to do, and I chose top 5 live-action Batman films. In celebration of his, he's calling it Bat March. So yeah, I thought I'd give it a try. I'm quite new to his channel, but I'm liking his content. Yeah, he's full of people. You know, he interacts with everyone, and he he offers polls quite frequently, and it's really quite engaging and fun to communicate with a fellow film lover. So anyway, top 5 live action Batman films. Well, the top 5 is not easy because I'm struggling on the 5th one, but my favourite Batman film is The Dark Knight. I've got it here on a DVD copy, a 2-disc special edition. Dark Knight. You know, Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Heath Ledger, Gary Oldman, Aaron Eckhart, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Morgan Freeman. I don't think Cillian Murphy appears in this one, does he? I think Cillian Murphy makes his reappearance in Dark Knight Rises, which I don't like very much. This is the one with the Joker. I mean, Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker, it's unrivaled in my opinion. I think you can like Jack. You can say the similar thing about Jack Nicholson's performance in Batman '89. And this Dark Knight is my favourite Batman film, because of Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. The makeup, the performance, the believability of it all. The location of Gotham's not my favourite. It's modern. It's more of like a based, realistic take on if Batman was out and about. My favourite setting is a Burton Gotham, but no, I think Batman films are villain-led. I think, Batman is really cool. He's ridiculously cool. I bet he sold a lot of toys back in the 80s and 90s. But it's the villains that drive Batman films. Personally, for me, I've found that, through Burton's direction and through Joel Schumacher's direction, through most of the direction of these films, they benefit the villains more. And obviously then, certain films get that right and certain films don't. So and the Joker as Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight is one of my all-time favorite films. So that's my favorite Batman film. Second favorite. Now, this could be recency bias. I admit that. It's The Batman coming in at second place. Your man appears. He's a younger Batman. He's a year 2 Batman, based on like the long Halloween comic book run. It's Robert Pattinson's Batman this time, with Matt Reeves directing. And you've got a fantastic score there. I think is it your man Georgie? I can't say his name, but the score is wonderful, and I love everything about this film. I think like the more I watch it, the more I can pick apart, and like the twinkle in my eyes fades away, and I can criticize it. I could take a step back. But I watched this film, I think 3 times in the cinema. I've watched it multiple times on my Blu-ray copy. I can't get enough of it. I think it's wonderful. I'm back in love with Gotham. I wasn't in love with Gotham with Christopher Nolan's films. Although when I was younger, I can see what I like now in the Batman universe, and what I like to see and how I like to feel when Batman's trudging through the streets and the villains are doing their thing. And that's, mostly why I like the Batman. It's like more gothic. It's more tapping into Batman's, detective skills. Although you can criticize that yourself as armchair watchers. But this film is fantastic. I can't wait for Matt Reeves to go again, and I can't wait to see more from what he does with his take on the Batman. Tremendous. Okay, now third. So this is from my Batman 4 film collection here. I must say, on this Blu-ray physical set, the audio is all off here. Like, so the dialogue, when you hear him, the cast speak, is like very minute compared to like the sound effects and stuff. So there's take that in mind if you're thinking about getting this. Maybe get like the 4K sets or something. But there's an audio issue on this one. So my third favorite Batman live action film is Batman Returns. Batman Returns is something I watched countless times as a child, along with like the other 4 films here. There's one I didn't watch as much, and I still don't like it to this day. Batman Returns. You've got Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, right? And I've recently watched all these 4 films for this video, and Michelle Pfeiffer's performance is it dominates my heart, my soul, my brain, my body. It dominates me completely. It is so alluring. It's fantastic. No other Catwoman comes close. She's tremendous. Her transformation, certain bits aside, like just her, I'm blown away by her performance and just the way she looks in certain scenes and what she does with her script and what she's asked to do in like certain scenes where she's with her cats and fighting Batman and whatnot, and the lick she gives Batman in one of the scenes. Oof, man, it's just tremendous film. And like I said, that's where in my rewatches, that's where I discovered that Batman is more, these live action films are more villain led. It's all about the villains, truly. Whilst Batman is supremely cool. Okay, so the fourth film, Batman and Robin. Yeah, I know, controversial. And I only say that because it's the film I loved, the Batman film I loved most as a child. You know, before I ever heard criticism of the film, that was my favorite Batman film growing up. Before Dark Knight came out, and yeah, I you know, just the likes of you know, you got Batgirl now, and I love the actor. You've got your man Robin. I love him as an actor in these performances. He's in 2 of those. Not a fan of any of the Batman per se in these 4 films. Like, I'm not in love with them. I'm more like, I like Robert Pattinson, I like Christian Bale, but if Batman's not, I like. It's just the actor that I'm sort of like not in love with. I'm more about the villains and the setting and what the fight sequences and whatnot. So yeah, Batman and Robin because of nostalgia. Yeah. Now the fifth film, that's where I'm struggling because I have to make a conceit. I haven't watched the first live action Batman film, and I'm ashamed. I'm deeply ashamed. And I wish I should have really watched it for this video, but I didn't. And I reckon that will be in my top 5. But because I haven't watched it and I don't really rate. Oh, I do like Batman '89, but it's not in my top 5. I would have to say Batman Begins. Christian Bale's first one. It's got Cillian Murphy. You've got Liam Neeson. You've got like the journey going off and coming back, and he'd done it better than Dark Knight Rises anyway. Yeah, so it's probably Batman Begins without watching that first live action film. So yeah, that's my top 5. Love Batman. Can't wait for Matt Reeves' continuation of his vision for Batman. Love that they've shot it in Europe. You know, you get a more gothic sort of, I think it's Liverpool, you get that feel for Gotham. Yeah, like you know, the cast of Colin Farrell. Yeah, love everything about it. I don't like the DC EU Batmans. You won't find that on my list anywhere. I don't want to watch anything. Now going into the continuation with the new universe, let's see, I will give it another try. But those DC EU films with Ben Affleck, no, not for me, completely not. So yeah, that's my top 5. Thank you, Video Tasties, for allowing me to contribute. And yeah, thank you.
Welcome, I'm Provisical Media. Now, this is another collaboration video with Video Tasties, and this time around it is themed around Batman. Now, we could, as our options, rank the live action Batman as seen in the picture, or rank our top 5 Batman live action movies. I'm going to not wax about too much with one of these movies because I just did for a bit longer than I think I should have. Anyway, this is the order of my top 5. Now, I will say from 5 to 1, it's incremental. So there's no absolute banging, outstanding, miles above the rest winner. These are all negligible. Depending on my mood, I may swap one around. But first, my number 5. Batman Begins. My number 4, The Dark Knight Rises. Now, the reasons those are the bottom two, partially because of the 4Ks, but the films themselves, it's a great start and a great end to the trilogy, but it starts well, but it could do so much more, and it ends well, but I just feel robbed. Now, if you've seen it, so you'll slightly know what I mean by feeling robbed, but Bane is built up to be such a huge villain, and that's all I will say, just in case you haven't seen it. Anyway, number 3. This is one of my controversial picks. This is my number 3. Fantastic film. Michael Keaton, fantastic as Batman, and Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Again, fantastic. This whole film is fantastic. And the 4K itself is pretty cool. Now, that film is going to be high on anyone's lists who's ranking their top 5s. In fact, I expect it to be number 1 on most. You know, variety. Anyway, my top 2. Now, again, all of these are negligible as it gets better. This next one is down to the performances of the actors and how the pace of the film. The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger as the Joker is absolutely fantastic. And Christian Bale was formerly my favourite Batman. But unfortunately, someone had to take the lead, and I disagree with what a lot of people say about this specific Batman. I almost said Pacific then. I meant specific. This is my favourite. The Batman. You can see a poster just above my head. Right there. And in fact, back there somewhere, I've got... yeah, there you go. You just see it there. It's a cup like this, with a little bobblehead thing in the top. A Batman bobblehead. Anyway, so the film. Why did I rank it number 1? It is long enough, but paced well enough that I could immerse myself in the story. The thriller noir style of film kept me engrossed. That ding is my phone, I apologise. And Selina Kyle, Colin Farrell, Paul Dano all played fantastic in their respective roles. So yes, a lot of people will say Paul Dano wasn't the Riddler. Well, Bruce Wayne wasn't in the film. Selina Kyle wasn't that great as Catwoman. Selina Kyle? Zoe Kravitz wasn't that great as Catwoman. And I'll disagree on most points. But for the world that this was built around, Year 2 Batman, Bruce wasn't there. It was all Batman. Batman was not just the mask, it was the identity. So in this film, it's portrayed very well how Bruce struggles with that. And Paul Dano is a good... I have to be careful with this. A good... what's it called? Zodiac killer style Riddler. You know, it's this type of thing he was. Anyway, this is my number 1. Now, it's just gone over 6 minutes, and I'm going to guess that was the implied time limit we had. So, thank you once again for watching, and thank you again to Gareth for including me in this collab. You all take care, and please, please feel free to leave in the comments how much you either agree or disagree with some of our choices. I can't wait to hear how everyone loves Batman 89. take it easy.
I'm Batman.